Hello, fellow Rebel Capitals. Hope you're well. So, New York City is in a race, it seems like. They're in a competition with California to see who can be the king of stupid. I forgot what movie that was in. One of those animated movies where the guy says that you are the king of stupids. And we see this playing out right in front of our own eyes. So, what is happening right now in New York City? A couple things, actually. First and foremost, let's go over to the banking system and how New York City is handling discrimination in banking. And this is something I didn't even know this was happening. I just found out about it watching Tim Pool over lunch. So New York City Commission votes to limit municipal deposits at Capital One and Key Bank. Why, you ask? Is it because they looked at their balance sheets and they said, whoa, wow, no, a little bit too much risk involved there. Too much exposure to commercial real estate. Or do you think they looked at the amount they're being paid on their deposits and saying, oh, no, absolutely not. We have taxpayer money as a municipality, and we need to be a good fiduciary of that money. Therefore, we are taking our deposits elsewhere where we are going to get paid more so we don't have to tax the average Joe and Jane as much moving forward. Wrong. What they did is they just randomly, 3 members of this commission, basically what they did is they sent out a demand to local banks and said that we demand that you give us, that you submit to us materials, and I'm reading right here, right off the page, or right from the story, submit materials to demonstrate that you have a commitment to combating discrimination and employment services and lending. As if there was a loan out there where they would make tons of money. But they say, no, we don't want that money because we're just not going to lend to that Asian person or whatever it is. Said no banker ever. So on one hand, this goes right back to our last video. You've got the government telling you that, oh, they're greedy capitalists. These banksters, they're greedy. You got to watch out for them. In fact, they're so greedy, we need to regulate them. And then so we can get paid off under the table. But that's the quiet part they don't say out loud. And then on the other hand, they say that, oh, well, they're super, super greedy to where we have to regulate them, but they're also discriminating. And they're not giving loans to people that they should be giving loans to. In other words, they're refusing to make money. So which is it, government? Are they greedy or are they refusing to make money? Because you can't have both. And if you want to imply that both exist in the world, then this puts you right into the category of not making sense. And we know the conclusion we have to come to after the last 2 or 3 years. Propaganda, lies. So moving on to this other story that will completely blow your mind. And I wanted to make sure that I went to the New York City governor's website. So I'm not getting any spin whatsoever. Mayor Adams signs legislation to prohibit height or weight discrimination in employment, housing, public accommodations. And of course, they have to throw in height in there because no one's going to just, you know exactly what they're talking about. There's a fat lobby, if you want to call it that, in New York with all these woke. That's becoming the new, there's so many, there's so many narratives. There's so many injustices that they need to make right. It's just every single day they've got a new disadvantaged group that they need to bully you into obeying, which is really what this is all about. This is about making you obey. And it's about seeing how far they can push your belief system to where they can convince you that anything is real. This is really, I think, about trying to take away critical thinking within society, to try to remove rationality and replace it simply with emotion. Very similar to what Joseph Goebbels tried to achieve in Germany in the 1930s. And so why do I say this specifically about the this law that says that you have to hire anyone regardless of how much they weigh. So let's just think about this from a few different angles. Number one, obviously, you're going to have multiple 500-pound people or 400-pound. I don't know if you can walk at that weight, but whatever it is, weight where you can still walk. And they're going to go straight down to the local gym, and they're going to say, give me a job as a personal trainer. And the gym owner is going to look at them and say, no, you weigh 500 pounds. And then they're going to go straight to their lawyer. They're going to sue. And then the gym, 24-Hour Fitness, whatever it is, they're going to settle out of court because they don't want this thing to be publicized all over the news. They're like, here, how much do you want? Let me write a check. Let's just move on. Here's $5 million. That's the incentive structure that you are putting into place right now, where regardless of what it is, you're going to have multiple grotesquely overweight people, wildly obese, going in and applying for these jobs, not because they want the position, but simply because they know that they're going to be told no. And therefore, it's going to be a payday. So you obviously, this is probably pushed by lawyers themselves. In fact, I would guess that they're the ones that are greasing the wheel here with Eric Adams, saying, hey, this is a great way for you to look good in front of your constituents. You know, I don't know the last time we went to New York, but you got a lot of fat people there. And you've got a lot of woke people that are in New York. All the people that like freedom and liberty, they all bounced when you did that whole medicine mandate. So the only people that are left are the people that will look at this favorably. And on top of that, we'll pay you $5 million on the side in Bitcoin or whatever, so nobody knows about it, if you just push this law through. Because we know that if we pay you $5 million, now the lawyers are talking, if we pay the mayor $5 million, we're going to make $500 million on all the lawsuits that these ambulance chasers are going to have in the very near future. I mean, if I'm putting money on it, I would say that is what this is all about. Well, let's keep moving on here. Now, they do say that you are allowed to discriminate against fat people if it's in a way that the government approves of. So, let's see. Well, here's this quote that we're going to get into from this Adams guy that just shows you that he's not someone to be taken seriously. In fact, not only is he not someone to be taken seriously, he is someone that is showing you his true colors. That he has no moral backbone, no ethical North Star, that he is scum of the earth, that he is the dregs, he and all of his political buddies are the dregs of our society. These people are the lowest of the low. But before we get there, I wanted to go over that they carve out a section for government saying, yes, you need to be a certain weight or height. So the government is allowed to discriminate. Like as an example, a government employee like a firefighter, because they're effectively an employee of the government. So the government comes in and says, no, you can't be a 500-pound firefighter. So if the government's discriminating, then it's totally okay. But if that gym discriminates by saying, no, you can't be a 500-pound personal trainer, then they're going to be at the mercy of these ambulance chasing lawyers. Now let's get into why you know Mayor Adams is a complete scumbag. And what's fascinating to me from a psychological standpoint is how there is anybody that continues to vote for this person, left or right. I don't care what your political leaning is, because it goes back to what we were saying on that video Friday, where there, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right, you go back 10 years and there were things that were just basic truths that we could all agree on them. Well, let's read this quote from Mayor Adams. The commission is dedicated to promoting and protecting the rights of individual groups face discrimination. Okay. Most forms of appearance-based discrimination of persisted unchecked. Okay. Here we go. This is the paragraph that I was looking for. Size discrimination is a social justice issue and a public health threat. So notice he isn't saying that obesity is a public health threat. No. He's saying that discriminating against people because they are 500 pounds is a public health threat. And he goes on to double and triple down. And I see now I've got to find this in another. Basically, what he says is that this is a health crisis, this discrimination, not the fact that people are grossly overweight. But he says that being overweight has nothing to do with health. In fact, this one I want to get to. Just bear with me, guys. Let's go to this article that I was reading initially with Fox, because I think this is where they have this quote. It's going to take me too long to find it in that in the mumbo jumbo there from their bear with me, because you guys, you have to hear this. This is the like the way that you truly know that this person is someone that you cannot trust. Well, I guess we're not going to find it. The bottom line here is he basically said, oh, here we go. Got it. So here's a quote from Mayor Adams. So I think this is the right thing to do. He continued, we are going to continue to talk about our progressive health agenda, which does not include saying that obese people are unhealthy. In fact, it's just the opposite. Let's get back to the quote. Science, the same science that brought you the cerveza sickness medicines, the mandates, the masks, the lockdowns, that science has shown body type is not a connection to if you're healthy or unhealthy. And I think that's a misnomer we are really dispelling. So in case you didn't follow that, he is saying that there is no connection whatsoever to you being 500 pounds and being unhealthy. It's just bad luck that you have diabetes. It's just bad luck that you had a heart attack. Right? This is completely insane. We all know this. Like, I'm not telling you anything that's surprising you right now. And for people on the left that voted for this guy, hopefully some of you are watching this video. And I would ask yourself to just have some internal dialogue here. You know darn well that he's lying right now. You know that. You know that in the real world, weighing 500 pounds means that you are unhealthy. Those two things are synonymous. We know that beyond any shadow of a doubt. Because science prior to 2 years ago made that abundantly clear, along with just basic common sense. So the fact that this guy that you voted for is now lying to your face, and you know it darn well, what does that tell you about the rest of his beliefs or the rest of the narratives that he is trying to push that you may have bought into over the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years? So now this is undebatable that he's lying right now. And he's doing this under the guise of quote unquote science. So think about how much of an SOB you would have to be to say this. And with 100% sincerity, to look right into the camera and just lie to absolutely everybody, because most likely you're getting paid under the table by all these ambulance chasing lawyers. Think about how much of a scumbag you have to be to do this. Now that you come to that conclusion, maybe reluctantly, ask yourself about all his other policies. The mandates, not being able to go into a restaurant unless you injected a foreign substance into your body. The banking issues that we talked about at the beginning of this video that I'm sure he is pushing. At some point, doesn't your whole worldview start to unravel? Like, honestly. And if it does, if you're being intellectually honest, maybe you should reevaluate who you're voting for. Maybe you should reevaluate your own positions on everything that this guy is pushing. Because if he's willing to push one obvious giant bag of BS, then why isn't everything he is saying complete BS? That's the challenge that I would have for everyone who would fall under the category of someone that would likely vote for Mayor Adams. And this, along with everything else that we've talked about today, it just goes right back to the easy way to sift through who is lying, who's not, who's all about propaganda. Does what they say make sense? Yes or no? And when someone comes out and says that fat people, the science says that fat people aren't unhealthy, boom, you don't need to listen to one more thing they say. You automatically put them in the category of someone you cannot trust. You automatically realize they are part of the global elite, authoritarian central planning agenda, and that you need to push back against them and don't vote for them in the future, for heaven's sakes. Jeez, it seems so obvious, but in today's day and age, I'm never surprised. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure that you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism. We'll see you on the next video.